How is the petitioner softened to our cause?
By the tempering of her metal.
Okay, all right.
How is the petitioner judged for steadfast integrity?
By the quenching of her metal.
You're just baiting me in all these elements.
How is the petitioner tested for resolve?
By the shaping of her metal. We are the enemies of the shining blade.
They're just stoning me. What the
secrets to us.
Or your life is
What?
forfeit. Then I will take my sincerity to my grave. You are wrong.
Yo, this is a hazing. So there's a magic. Oh, what? So I just finished Living World Season 3 for Guild Wars 2, and as some of you may know, we are playing Guild Wars 2 in chronological order as a new player. So we've done 100% of the base game. We've done Living World 1 and 2, and then we moved on to Heart of Thorns, which was absolutely a phenomenal upgrade on the base game. And I wasn't really expecting much from Living World Season 3 because for Living World 1 and 2, I felt like it was a bit lacking. I think Living World 2 was a bit better than Living World 1, just because of the amount of content it offered in terms of the 2 maps, such as the Silver Waste. And Living World 3 really surprised me because it's not really like a named expansion like Heart of Thorns or the next one, Path of Fire, which apparently has 5 mounts, and I'm super excited about that because I've been looking at everybody else having a fancy mount while I'm just kind of stuck walking or on a raptor. So yeah, Living World 3 really surprised me because each new episode, there are 6 episodes total that you can play through for the story, has its own map. And that's, I think, building off of the precedent it's set in Living World 2, sort of. And I feel like because it is part of the Heart of Thorns masteries as well, or the Heart of Thorns experience, Living World 3 finished Heart of Thorns. And the Heart of Thorns didn't really feel like it was incomplete or anything, but I think Living World 3 really fleshed it out a lot, especially in terms of the methods of exploration, like ley line gliding, the thermal tubes that can shoot you across the map, and the oaken, I believe the oak heart vines that you can pick up and Spider-Man across the maps too. So yeah, that was really surprising, and I think for a lot of people who are ambivalent or maybe just neutral or apathetic about the story in a MMO like Guild Wars 2, I think Living World Season 3 will definitely pique your interest in the story, because I think a lot of things got improved in Living World 3, even when you compare it to the big expansion of Heart of Thorns, like the voice acting. I think was much more well done. I think the audio quality or audio engineering definitely is a noticeable difference. I think the story itself and the character development was more fleshed out. For sure. I think even Braham, which I kind of view as a sort of bland character, is finally getting character development. Taimi, of course, is certainly a hallmark feature. And just recently I found out that the voice actor for Taimi is also the voice actor for Jimmy Neutron, I believe. So I can't unhear that, but at the same time, it's got its own character for sure. But yeah, I think in terms of content, like the maps, it's really well done. I think maps are really well done, super engaging. It doesn't really bore you. And as someone who really likes to 100% the maps in terms of visiting all the waypoints, visiting all POIs, it really brought back a positive from the base game exploration in terms of like fleshing out those maps, right, as a new player. And that's something I didn't really feel at times with Heart of Thorns or Living World 2. It just kind of felt like, okay, it's just a map that's there for you to explore. It felt like Heart of Thorns and, Living World 2 was experimenting a lot with verticality, and Living World 3 kind of scaled that down a bit, except for maybe Draconic Mons, which I have a lot of good things to say about that map for episode 5. But yeah, I mean, it really feels like Living World 3 with the story, the characters, the audio, the map content, somehow improved Guild Wars 2 even more post Heart of Thorns. And yeah, so the maps themselves, I think each had a very unique trait to it in terms of the method of exploration, and of course all tied in with masteries as well that you continue to build in the Living World 3 mastery. And if you are still lacking or missing the masteries from Heart of Thorns, like ley line gliding, which can be a bit of a pain to get depending on how you want to get that or how much XP you're willing to grind, per your play session for Guild Wars 2 in the week. It really felt nice. It felt like this was a a bow to tie it off together. And my absolute favorite map, Draconis Mons, is probably the best map I've experienced so far in Living World 3, and maybe honestly, best map so far in Guild Wars 2. Just something about it, the way you can traverse the landscape with so many different options, it really feels very seamless. It feels really satisfying to explore. Um, it definitely has to be like my number one, number two favorite map so far in Guild Wars 2. Far, far, far above the quality of I would say Tangled Depths, or even definitely above the base game charm maps, which were absolutely awful for me. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of that really tied in together with Draconics Mons. And of course, I did Chalice of Tears. I have not done Searing Ascent, the jump puzzle, because a lot of people were telling me, "Oh, Chalice of Tears is so hard, it's such a hard jump puzzle." And I did it in about 2.5 hours, give or take, and it was fine. I think, and I'm looking forward to Searing Ascent. Apparently, it's a even harder puzzle than Chalice of Tears as a jump puzzle. And yeah, that's really it. I have nothing bad to say about any of Living World 3 at all. I feel like this was a very worthwhile thing to invest my time into, especially compared to Living World 1 and 2. I think the only weird thing in terms of the map content is maybe Siren's Landing, which is kind of returned to the Ruins of Ore, the Ore area, the endgame area of base game. And I think the only weird thing about that was the shrine system, where instead of having like, 3 or 4 waypoints scattered throughout the map for fast travel, you have something called shrines, which you need to buy from the meta vendor for access to. I don't think that was necessarily bad or good. It was just kind of like, okay, so we're kind of weird that the system's kind of being put in last minute on the last map of Living World 3's last episode. So that was kind of weird, but everything else was great. As for the story content itself, I think you definitely need some background in Guild Wars 1, or at least like a read up on Guild Wars 1 lore, because I believe there were a couple characters mentioned that, or even seen, like I believe it was Livia, who was apparently a companion from Guild Wars 1. But as a new player, it kind of felt like, oh, this is clearly a very deep lore hole that you can probably get lost in, or maybe like involve yourself in a bit more if you're curious about who these characters are. The whole thing about the Mersat, um, but there's definitely an element of, oh, we gotta save the world again. And I don't know if that's gonna be a common thing. I suspect it will be, because there's like 4 dragons left. Spoiler alert. As of Living World 3, that you have to kill as the pack commander. So I'm just like, okay. So I feel like going forward, it's gonna be a series of never-ending world cataclysmic events that you need to prevent, which I don't really like. I feel like there could be some points or periods where there isn't, cataclysmic endings, or sort of cataclysmic scenarios. Instead, just kind of like chill periods where conflicts are a bit more localized. And I felt like that was the one positive I could say about some of Living World 1. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, I haven't played any of the others. I am looking forward to Path of Fire, because as I discovered, kind of doing the initial prologue quest into it, you can finally mount in quest instances. And that's that's something I really wanted, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, so they gave us a raptor mount, you know, as a new player, and I can't mount in these quest instances. But apparently, since Path of Fire is the expansion that introduced the mount system in the first place, you can finally mount in quest instances. So I think that will definitely help a bit. And I did notice, at least because of that mount system being in place, and the fact that you can use it in the quest instances in Path of Fire, the maps are bigger, or quest instances are much bigger, which I am also looking forward to see how they do it in terms of like laying out the content. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Living World 3, again, I have really nothing bad to say at all. I think I am still looking for, by the way, people to do the Heart of Thorns uh, raid with, the first raid of Guild Wars 2. So definitely join the Discord server if you want to help out with that, or just join the raid, especially if you are a newer Guild Wars 2 player like me. And I will make a Path of Fire video once I'm done Path of Fire. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.